More than a driver, more than a champion, born in Brazil, he became one of the greatest Formula One drivers in history. But his story was not just about racing. It was about faith, courage, and the belief that true victory comes from the heart. Senna once said, "If you have God on your side, everything becomes clear." Every time he stepped into his car, he was not only fighting for trophies, he was fighting to be the best version of himself. To race was to live. To live was to believe. Today, we remember his journey, from a boy in São Paulo with a small cart to the man who became a global legend. His life reminds us that passion and purpose can take us far beyond what we imagine. So, if you believe that greatness starts with faith and determination, stay with us until the end of this video. You will learn English through one of the most inspiring stories ever told, the story of Ayrton Senna, the man who raced with his soul. Ayrton Senna was born in São Paulo, Brazil, in 1960. From the very beginning, he showed a unique connection with speed. His father built him a small go-kart when Ayrton was only 4 years old, and the moment he sat in it, something magical happened. It was as if he had found his purpose. He grew up in a middle-class family that valued hard work, education, and faith. His parents noticed that Ayrton was quiet but deeply focused. When he was near a car, an engine, or anything that moved fast, his eyes would shine. At just 13 years old, Senna began racing go-karts professionally, while other kids were playing. He was learning about precision, control, and courage. On the track, he wasn't just a boy. He was already becoming a legend in motion. But his journey wasn't easy. The equipment wasn't always the best, and the competition was tough. Yet Ayrton had something that others didn't, a mix of determination, humility, and faith. Before every race, he would close his eyes, breathe deeply, and pray. Those early years shaped who he would become. Not just a racer, but a man who believed that excellence was a spiritual calling. Ayrton's first official race was not just a test of skill. It was a moment that defined his destiny. The sound of engines, the smell of fuel, and the vibration of the track awakened something powerful inside him. When the race began, Ayrton felt calm, almost peaceful, as if he and the machine were one. He finished that race not as a champion, but as a boy who had found his calling. From that day forward, he knew what he wanted, to become the fastest, not only in speed, but in spirit. As the years passed, Senna began to win more and more races. His control of the kart was precise, his focus almost unbreakable. People said, "He drives like it's his destiny." And maybe it was. Ayrton didn't see racing as a game. He saw it as a purpose given by God. Every time he crossed the finish line, he didn't just look up to the scoreboard. He looked up to heaven. It was his way of saying thank you for the gift he had been given. As Ayrton Senna's talent grew, it became clear that his destiny was bigger than Brazil. After years of dominating local kart races, he knew it was time to face the world. His dream was not only to race, it was to compete with the best. And that meant going to Europe, the heart of motorsport. In 1981, with his family's support and his heart full of courage, Ayrton moved to England to start a new chapter in his life. He didn't know the language well, and he had very little money. The weather was cold, the food was strange, and sometimes he felt lonely. But none of that could stop him. He had a purpose, to prove that faith, focus, and discipline could overcome any obstacle. He began racing in Formula Ford, a small but very competitive category. There, Senna showed the same control, determination, and passion he had since his childhood. He studied every corner of the track, every movement of his car. He didn't just want to win. He wanted to understand perfection. People started noticing him. His smooth driving, his concentration, and his deep humility made him stand out. Even when he lost, he thanked God and promised to return stronger. In 1982, he won the British Formula Ford 2000 championship, proving that a boy from Brazil could compete and win in the most demanding circuits in the world. It was the beginning of something much greater. The world of Formula One was starting to whisper a name that would soon become legendary: Ayrton Senna. After his victories in Formula Ford, Ayrton Senna's reputation began to spread through the racing world. talent scouts and sponsors started to take notice of the young Brazilian who drove with precision and passion. By 1983, he was racing in Formula 3, one step away from Formula 1. That year, he dominated the British Formula 3 Championship, showing incredible control and focus. Even under heavy rain, conditions most drivers feared, Senna was unstoppable. Journalists began calling him the Rain Master. His style was unique. He wasn't just fast. He was spiritual about racing. "When I'm driving, I'm closer to God," he once said. It wasn't arrogance, it was faith. His consistency, courage, and humility opened the doors to the biggest dream of his life, Formula 1. In 1984, Ayrton Senna made his Formula 1 debut with the small Toleman team. His car wasn't powerful, but his skill made up for it. Then came the famous Monaco Grand Prix, a race that would change everything. It rained heavily, and most drivers struggled to keep control. But Senna, in his underpowered car, drove like a man possessed. One by one, he overtook the world's best drivers, including world champion Alain Prost. Lap after lap, the crowd watched in disbelief. They were witnessing something historic. A new legend was being born. Although the race was stopped before Senna could win, his performance shocked the entire Formula 1 world. That day, everyone knew Ayrton Senna had arrived. In 1985, Senna joined the Lotus team, one of the most competitive teams at the time. Here, his true potential began to shine. In his very first season, he achieved his first Formula 1 victory at the Portuguese Grand Prix. The race was, once again, under heavy rain, and Senna was brilliant. He finished over 1 minute ahead of the next driver, proving that he was not only talented but also fearless. Over the next seasons, he continued to grow stronger, faster, and wiser. His reputation for discipline was unmatched. He trained hard, prayed before every race, and treated every track like sacred ground. For Senna, racing was not about fame or money. It was about purpose, doing something with passion, honesty, and perfection. He once said, "If you have God in your heart and believe in your dream, you can overcome anything." And soon, that dream would take him to the greatest team in Formula 1, McLaren, where his name would become immortal. In 1988, Ayrton Senna joined the legendary McLaren team, partnering with the French driver Alain Prost, a two-time world champion known for his calm, strategic style. Many thought Senna would be in Prost's shadow, but they were wrong. From the very first race, it was clear. Senna was not just fast, he was different. His focus was absolute. His commitment to perfection was unmatched. He didn't just want to win. He wanted to touch the limit of what was humanly possible. That same year, Senna and Prost dominated Formula 1. Together, they won 15 out of 16 races. But on the track, they were rivals, not friends. Their competition became one of the greatest rivalries in the history of sports, not because of hate, but because both men pushed each other to their absolute best. At the Japanese Grand Prix in Suzuka, Senna had one of the greatest comebacks ever seen. After a poor start, he dropped to 14th place. But lap by lap, he overtook every car in front of him. The rain started to fall, his element. With fearless precision, Senna fought his way back and took the lead, crossing the finish line as world champion for the first time. As he stood on the podium, tears filled his eyes. It wasn't just victory, it was destiny fulfilled. He whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude. A boy from São Paulo had become the best driver in the world. After his first world championship, in 1988, Ayrton Senna became a global superstar. But with fame came pressure and conflict. His rivalry with Alain Prost reached new levels. They were complete opposites. Prost was analytical, patient, and logical. Senna was emotional, instinctive, and deeply spiritual. Their battles on the track were intense, sometimes beautiful, sometimes controversial. In 1989, at Suzuka again, the two collided in one of the most famous crashes in Formula 1 history. Prost won the championship that year, but Senna never gave up. He returned stronger, more focused, and more determined than ever. In 1990, fate brought them back to the same circuit, Suzuka, once more fighting for the title. This time, Senna took victory and reclaimed his crown. But even with glory, his heart remained humble. He often said, "Racing is in my blood, but God is in my heart." Behind the fierce competitor was a man of deep faith and compassion. Off the track, Senna quietly helped poor children in Brazil, donating large parts of his income without publicity. He believed that true greatness wasn't measured by trophies, but by how you could use your blessings to lift others. He continued to win, 3 world titles and countless races, but his legacy was becoming more than speed. It was about courage, integrity, and belief. As the years passed, Senna began to speak more about life's meaning, saying, "I am nothing without God. Everything I do to glorify Him." His story was no longer just about a racer. It was about a man whose light shone both on and off the track. May 1st, 1994, the San Marino Grand Prix in Imola, Italy. Ayrton Senna, now driving for Williams, prepared for the race with an unusual heaviness in his heart. That weekend had already been tragic. On Saturday, another driver, Roland Ratzenberger, had lost his life during qualifying. Senna was deeply affected. On race day, he prayed quietly in his room and wrote a small note that would later be found in his Bible. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. The race began. On the 7th lap, as Senna entered the Tamburello curve, something went terribly wrong. His car left the track at high speed and crashed into the wall. The world went silent. Moments later, the news broke. Ayrton Senna was gone. It felt impossible. The man who had mastered rain, speed, and fear itself was no more. But in truth, Senna's story did not end there. Around the world, people cried, prayed, and remembered. Brazil came to a stop. Millions filled the streets of São Paulo to say goodbye to their hero. Yet, even in death, his light did not fade. Senna's faith, kindness, and humility left a legacy far beyond Formula One. His family created the Ayrton Senna Foundation, helping millions of poor children in Brazil receive education and hope, exactly what Ayrton had always dreamed of. He once said, "We are here to give our best and to make the world better for others." And that's what he did, both on and off the track. Ayrton Senna may have finished his last race, but his spirit still drives, in every dreamer who believes that courage, faith, and love can change the world. Ayrton Senna's story is not only about speed or championships, it's about purpose. He lived every day believing that excellence was a way to honor God. His victories were moments of glory, but his true greatness came from his faith, his humility, and his heart for others. Even today, more than 3 decades after his final race, people continue to watch his interviews and feel inspired. His words remind us that success without meaning is empty, and that the real race is the one we run within ourselves, the race to become better, kinder, and closer to God. He once said, "If you have God on your side, everything becomes clear." And perhaps that's why Ayrton Senna's legacy endures, not just in the roar of engines, but in the quiet moments of reflection, when we realize that courage and faith can change everything. Brazil from the streets of São Paulo to the circuits of the world, his life continues to inspire millions, dreamers, believers, and those who dare to push beyond their limits. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes in living with purpose and faith. Your engagement helps us bring more inspiring stories to life, because just like Senna said, you commit yourself to something, and you never, ever give up. This was the life of Ayrton Senna, a legend who raced not only for victory, but for eternity.